Go pull out the pan you use the most, the one that lives on the front burner. Now flip it over. That black crust on the bottom. That crackled, greasy, burnt-on mess that's been building for years. You've scrubbed at it. You've soaked it. Maybe you gave up on it a long time ago and decided that's just what the bottom of a pan looks like after a while. Some of you have thought about throwing the whole pan out because of it. A pan that cooks perfectly fine, headed for the trash because of what's on the underside. Don't throw it out. That crust is not permanent. And you don't have to scrub it off either. Today, I'm going to show you how to take years, and I mean years, of burnt black gunk off the bottom of a pan with almost no scrubbing at all. Two things do the work: a can of oven cleaner and a roll of plastic wrap. And the plastic wrap is the actual secret. Most people who try oven cleaner on a pan skip the wrap, and that's exactly why it doesn't work for them. I'll explain why in a minute. Here's the whole method up front, because I'm not going to make you wait for it. You spray the burnt bottom of the pan heavily with fume-free oven cleaner. I use Easy Off, the blue can. You cover it tight with plastic wrap. You walk away for 8 hours. Overnight is easiest. In the morning, you peel the wrap off, and that black crust wipes away with a sponge. Wipe, rinse, wash with dish soap, done. Stuff you thought was welded on for good comes off like it was never attached. That's it. That's the video. But stay with me, because the details are where people go wrong, which pans this is safe on, why the wrap matters so much, and the couple of things you need to be careful about. Because oven cleaner is not gentle stuff, and I'm not going to pretend it is. First, let's talk about what that black crust actually is, because once you understand it, the whole method makes sense. Every time you cook, a little grease finds its way onto the outside of that pan. It drips over the edge. It splatters from the pan next to it. It gets on your hands, and your hands get on the pan. Then you set that pan on a hot burner, and that thin film of grease cooks, not burns off, cooks on. Heat turns grease into something like a varnish, a hard, dark coating that's stuck to the metal. Then the next time you cook, a new layer of grease lands on top of that one, and it cooks on too. Layer on layer on layer, year after year. So that crust isn't dirt sitting on your pan. It's more like a paint job, dozens of coats of it, and that's why scrubbing doesn't work. When you go at it with a scouring pad and elbow grease, you're trying to sand off paint by hand. You'll take off a little of the top layer, wear out your arm, wear out your pad, and the pan looks almost exactly the same. I know because I did it that way for years. Don't feel bad. Everybody does it that way until somebody shows them different. What you need isn't muscle. You need something that dissolves that cooked-on varnish, turns it soft again so it lets go of the metal on its own. And that's exactly what oven cleaner is made to do. Think about what's inside your oven, the same thing. Grease that dripped and cooked on, layer after layer. Oven cleaner exists for one job: turning baked-on grease back into something you can wipe up. The inside of your oven and the bottom of your pan have the exact same problem, so they get the exact same fix. Now, the can. Get the fume-free version. Easy Off makes one. It's the blue can, not the yellow one. The yellow can is the heavy-duty one, and it works, but the fumes will run you out of your own kitchen. The blue can does this job just fine. It's a lot easier to live with, and it runs you $6 or $7. One can will do a whole cabinet's worth of pans with plenty left over. Before you spray anything, know your pan. This matters, so listen. Stainless steel, go right ahead. That's what most of your pots and pans are, and this method is made for them. Enameled pans. Like a Dutch oven, the bottom's usually fine, but test a small spot first if you're worried. Aluminum, no. Don't do it. Oven cleaner and bare aluminum do not get along. It'll turn the metal dark and blotchy, and it can eat little pits into it. If you've got those lightweight aluminum pans, this method is not for them, and I'd rather tell you that plainly than have you ruin one on my say-so. Cast iron, technically it works, but understand what you're doing. Oven cleaner doesn't know the difference between the black gunk you hate and the black seasoning you spent years building. It'll strip both. So only use this on cast iron if the whole pan's a mess and you're planning to strip it down and season it fresh. On a good seasoned skillet, leave it alone. And non-stick, the cooking surface, stays away from this stuff entirely. We're only ever talking about the outside bottom of the pan. Keep the spray off the coated inside. One more thing before we start. Gloves. Rubber dish gloves. The kind you've probably got under the sink. Oven cleaner is strong. That's the whole reason it works. And strong means it'll irritate your skin if you handle it barehanded. Gloves on, don't touch your face, keep it away from the kids and the dog. It's not scary. It's just a tool you treat with respect, same as a sharp knife. All right, here's how I do it, step by step. Take your pan to the sink or lay down some newspaper on the counter. Flip it upside down so that ugly bottom is facing up at you. Gloves on. Shake the can well and spray that bottom heavily. And I mean heavily, this is not the place to be dainty. You want a thick, even coat of white foam covering every bit of that black crust, right out to the edges where the grease always creeps up the sides. If you can still see black through the foam, spray more. The foam is what's doing the work, so give it plenty to work with. Now here's the secret, and I want you to hear this part twice, because this is the difference between this method working like magic and you telling me it didn't work. Cover the whole bottom of the pan with plastic wrap. Tight, press it right down onto the foam, wrap it over the edges, seal it up like you're putting leftovers away. Why? Because oven cleaner only works while it's wet. The minute that foam dries out, it quits. It just stops, sitting there like chalk, doing nothing. And out in the open air, it dries in an hour or two long before it's gotten through years of baked-on layers. That's why people spray a pan, come back later, find the crust still there, and decide oven cleaner doesn't work on pans. It works fine. It just dried out and clocked off early. The plastic wrap seals the moisture in. Under that wrap, the foam stays wet all night long. And all night long, it keeps eating away at that varnish, layer after layer, hour after hour, while you sleep. The 4-cent piece of plastic wrap is what turns a 2-hour cleaner into an 8-hour cleaner. That's the whole trick. The can does the dissolving, the wrap keeps it on the clock. By the way, little tricks like that one, the cheap thing that makes the whole method work, I've got a whole book of them. Every method I use to run this house for less, all written down in one place. It's on my website, and the link's right below the video. Go grab it. I won't mention it again. Now, where do you leave the pan while it sits? Somewhere out of the way. In the sink is fine if you won't need the sink. I usually set mine on the counter on newspaper or out in the garage if it's a really nasty one. Somewhere the kids won't poke at it and the cat won't walk across it. Then you do the hardest part of this entire method. Nothing. 8 hours minimum. Overnight is perfect. Spray it after supper. Deal with it after breakfast. Longer doesn't hurt. The wrap keeps it wet, so it just keeps working. Come morning, gloves back on, and peel that plastic wrap off. The first time you do this, you're going to stand there for a second because it doesn't look right. That hard black crust, the one that laughed at your scouring pad, has turned into a soft, dark sludge. Some of it comes up, stuck to the plastic wrap itself, and you're peeling years of burnt grease off your pan like a sticker. Take a regular sponge, the rough green side is fine, and wipe. Not scrub, wipe. The gunk slides off in dark, greasy streaks, and the metal starts showing through underneath. Pans I bought 20 years ago. Pans I'd written off completely. The bottoms came back shining like the day they left the store. That's the reveal, and it never gets old. You spent years thinking that crust was part of the pan. It wipes off like gravy off a plate. Now, honest talk, because I won't oversell anything to you. If your pan is truly bad, decades of buildup, thick as a nickel, one round might not get every last bit. You'll usually see the worst spots left behind. Thin, dark islands where the crust was thickest. 2 ways to handle them. First way, hit those spots with steel wool. A little pad of fine steel wool and a minute of light work takes off what's left. Because the oven cleaner already softened it, you're wiping off the leftovers, not sanding off the whole paint job. But test it first on a spot near the edge, because steel wool can scratch, especially on a polished stainless bottom. Little light circles, see how the metal takes it, then carry on. If you don't like what you see, use the second way instead. Second way, just do it again. Spray, wrap, another night. No scrubbing at all, no risk of a scratch, it just costs you another day. For a pan that's been building crust since the 90s, 2 rounds is nothing. You've waited this long. When the bottom's clean, rinse the pan really well under hot water, all of it. Every trace of that cleaner, off the pan and down the drain. Then wash the whole pan with dish soap, inside and out. Same as any dirty dish. I wash mine twice, just for my own peace of mind, because this pan touches my family's food and I want every bit of that oven cleaner gone before it goes back on the stove. 2 washes, hot water, And it's just your pan again, only now it looks like somebody bought you a new set. That's the whole method. $6 can, 4 cents of plastic wrap, 1 night of sleep. No scrubbing worth calling scrubbing. Now, let me save you from ever having to do this again, because the second half of this lesson is keeping that bottom clean, and it costs you about 10 seconds a day. That crust took years to build, one thin cooked-on layer at a time, which means it only ever needed one thin layer wiped off at a time. When you wash your pan after supper, flip it over and give the bottom one pass with the soapy sponge. That's it. Tonight's grease film comes off tonight, before tomorrow's burner has a chance to cook it into varnish. Fresh grease wipes off with dish soap like nothing. Cooked grease needs everything I just taught you. 10 seconds a night is the difference. Nobody ever tells you that when you buy the pan, so I'm telling you now. And while I'm at it, a pan with a black bottom was never a broken pan. I want to say that plainly, because there's money riding on you believing otherwise. That crust never hurt how the pan cooked. Maybe heated a hair less evenly at its worst, but your food never knew the difference. What the crust did was make the pan look finished, done for, embarrassing when company's in the kitchen. And an embarrassing pan is a replaced pan. Think about who does well when you believe a stained pan is a dead pan. The cookware people. First, there's a reason the sets in the store cost $200 and $300, and a reason nobody at that store mentions that your old set just needs a $6 can and a night's sleep. Then there's a whole shelf of special products for exactly this problem. Cookware pastes, miracle bottom of pan scrubbers, $10 and $12 a tub, and most of them still want an hour of your elbow on top of it. They sell you the scrubbing and keep the secret, because the secret doesn't need a special product. It needs an oven cleaner you may already own and the plastic wrap in your drawer. Nobody profits off telling you that, so nobody told you. Now you know. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Go flip over your worst pan. You already know which one it is. If it's stainless, spray it, wrap it tight, and go to bed. Tomorrow morning, come back to this video and tell me in the comments what you found under that plastic wrap. How old was the pan? How long had that crust been on there? I love those stories somebody always writes in about a pan that was their mother's, given up for ruined 30 years ago, and now it's sitting on their stove shining. Those comments make my whole week. And if you've got your own trick for pan bottoms, something your grandmother did, put that in the comments too. I read every one, and half of what I know came from people like you. And once you see what this trick does to a pan, look at your sheet pans. The cookie sheets, the ones that have gone brown and sticky all over, same problem, same fix, a couple of wrinkles to know about, and that's the next video. So come back for that one. Until then, stop scrubbing. Let the can and the wrap do the work while you sleep. That's how I do it around here. The cheap way is usually the smart way, and most of the time you already own it.